Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for February 24th, 2026. We do have enough of us to call a quorum despite the big snowstorm. I really appreciate everybody being here tonight. Before we get into our items, I'd like to start us off with a moment of silent reflection and pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we are still in our home away from home here in 566 Washington Street, Norwood, MA, until the elevator is repaired. First things first, let's knock out some of the simple things. Item 1, which is a warrant signature update, submitting notification, reviewed and approved warrants signed by the board's representative.
Move and file.
Right, motion made by Mr. Plasko, seconded by Mr. Lane. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous 4-0. Item 2, meeting minutes for approval of the board for January 13th, 2026 and January 27th, 2026.
I'll move for approval of minutes from January 13th and January 27th, 2026.
Motion made by Mr. Donnelly, seconded by Mr. Plasko. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, unanimous 4-0. All right. Our first public hearing doesn't start until 6:40. So, I'm thinking.
Is that not being
They have a request a continuance.
right?
Do we need to wait to take that up?
I would
technically?
just start on
Someone
new
could show
business.
up knowing
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
posted.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I
We
was
can always do
thinking.
them late. We should never start a posted public hearing early.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was worried about.
But I think some of the new business items can get knocked out pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, why don't we try consent agenda, because that's pretty straightforward. So I'll just go through like usual. If there's any particular thing you'd like held out of consent, just say hold and I'll hold it. So consent today will be for item 5.1 is the car washes. We have Norwood Parents Music Association, Norwood High School Boys Hockey. Item 5.2, we have a parade request and road closures. This will be for Norwood Little League Baseball and Softball Parade. 5.3, we have sign placements. This is Norwood Evening Garden Club for Art in Bloom. 5.4, we have Disabled Veterans Park Use for Heritage Baptist Church. 5.5, one-day liquor permits for Hometown Arcade. All right. 5.6, banner request for National Association of Letter Carriers Branch 742. And 5.7, the 5K road race from the Matt Brown Foundation. So I have the one hold for the two items under 5.5. Do I have a motion for the rest?
I'll make a motion to approve 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5. I'm sorry,
5.6.
5.6 rather, and 5.7.
All right, motion made by Mr. Donnelly.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Lane. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous 4-0. And if you'd like, Mr. Plasko, if we think we can discuss it in 5 minutes, we can take up a discussion on 5.5.
Sure, 5.51 and 5.52, the request for one-day liquor permits at Hometown Arcade. Assuming, which I suppose I shouldn't, that the board will approve those. I want to make part of the motion, or suggest that we make part of the motion, that it state that the capacity is 80.
Okay.
I noticed on their application, they're still citing 200 and something, and when they just asked for a CV license, it was made clear through the building inspector that the capacity is 80, and somebody didn't get the memo. So just trying to re-emphasize it, if anything should happen, we're on record that that was the limit.
Right. Okay. Any further questions or discussion on that?
I think that's fine, Madam Chair.
A motion to
Yep.
approve with the stipulation that the seating capacity be listed on the approval at 80.
I'd second the motion.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Plasko, seconded by Mr. Lane. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous 4-0. All right, still plenty of time. Memoranda, do I have a motion for memoranda?
Motion to file.
Motion made by Mr. Donnelly,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Plasko. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous 4-0. All right, what is another good less than 4-minute item for us to attack?
I mean, even 4.1 is just forwarding to the planning board and
Okay.
asking somebody to work with the staff and the moderator on them.
All right,
Under 12.1,
under 4.1.
I make a recommendation or motion that we forward item 3 and item 6 to the planning board for their review, and that 1 through 6 be added to the annual town meeting warrant, since the petition appears to be in order.
I'll make a second to that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Plasko, seconded by Mr. Lane. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous 4-0. All right, just a couple more minutes. Would we like to get
Just start with the
to?
appointment.
Yeah, we could probably, oh,
We, you know, if
They don't
We
think
don't want to
they'll
start,
feel
we don't want to
rushed.
start early on an appointment, but we could always start a little later, just to make sure anybody who intended to come gets here, so,
right,
especially since they're withdrawing it.
yeah. So this is, you're thinking 3.2?
Yes.
All right. All right, so as a reminder, we had a letter of interest for a vacancy on the Council of Aging. One of the things we've tried to be in the habit of doing is making sure that we have folks come in, talk with us, and check who all has applied. So thankfully, the snow has not stopped our applicants, so thank you
No,
so much
no,
for
no.
coming in here.
The
Speak
streets
with
were
us
pretty
tonight.
clear, and, I finally got the driveway done.
Yeah, that was all of us as well. Well, thank you so much for coming in to see us tonight. We always want to give the board an opportunity to get a little FaceTime, ask some questions, and also if you have questions for us. And for the benefit of the public record, if we can have you introduce yourself.
I'm Diane Mastandrea.
Excellent, thank you. And so you had submitted to us a very nice letter of interest for the Board of the Council on Aging. And so if you want, just kind of give another summary of sort of what your primary, interests and things you're excited about.
Okay, well, I grew up in Norwood, as I had said, and actually, my first teaching job was at what we used to call Junior High South. Prop 2.5 came by, and I got riffed. So I was away for 31 years. I retired 11 years ago, came back, helped out Mom and Dad. We spent a lot of time together at the senior center. Now I go to the senior center and spend time there, participate in the programs. I've seen most of you up there, either at a Tuesday night dinner in the summer or, St. Patrick's Day, Christmas party, whatever. Some people say, oh, you're too young. No, I'm really not too young. I'd like to think I am, but I'm not. We have a great group running, staffing the senior center, a lot of good volunteers. I go to all of the board meetings anyway, so I said, well, you know what? When I heard that Fran Kenny was resigning because she's moving out of town, I said, I go anyway, maybe I'll learn something new. Maybe I can help out doing whatever needs perhaps done. So that's why I thought that I'd put in for this position.
Excellent.
And I
thank
also
you.
know that, I think I'm just filling in to finish Fran's term. So, heaven forbid that I didn't like it, it wouldn't be torturous forever.
All right, with that, I will field questions. Would we like to start?
I'll start.
Yeah, let's go.
Thank you, Manager. Thank you so much for your interest. We really appreciate it. I think that you have some really unique perspective in that you said you spent time there with family, and now you're back there taking
Right.
advantage of the services.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like in maybe the time that passed in between then, that the services have improved, the quality of programming, and do you feel like we offer everything for seniors that you think they need?
I think so. Actually, a couple of people approached me right after, I hate to say this, after my mother passed and asked if I was gonna run for her position. I said, no, it's, if I'm interested, this is not the time.
Yeah.
A lot of the programs that I have learned about are for services that I've never needed, nor did my parents. So, I think a lot of people don't know a lot of the services that are offered there. I mean, even the lunch program, which is fabulous.
Right.
People don't realize that if you are not capable of driving, they'll deliver it to you. I think we do offer a broad range of events. But it's funny because recently someone said, Diane, I heard you putting in for that position. I said yes, and they said, why don't we have the Friday, I think it was, they used to have movies on Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know, why don't you ask Kerry, you know, what you're asking me for? But
Now they're gonna
I
be
do
asking
think we
you.
have a good group and a good range of programs. One of the first times I went there, and I had just turned 60, and they had a musical group in, and the first song they did was an Aerosmith song. And I'm looking around going, all right, does anyone else in here know this song besides me? But now I was listening to the Grammys the night it was on, I was like, I don't know, any of these people.
I don't either. It's
So,
okay. That's great. It's really
Yeah.
good to hear, and I think that you'd be a good communicator to the public of the things that we have to offer.
Yeah, I
So,
really think there's a lot that people don't know about, or people maybe in my age bracket, I just turned 70 a few months ago, who maybe don't know what's really offered. I think they think it's for old people. And I'm like, yeah, we're the old people now, guys. But, so, yeah.
That's great to hear. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Plasko, any questions?
I always found it strange that when I look around, that somehow I'm as old as old people. I don't
Exactly.
I don't know how that happened. It doesn't feel that way.
It doesn't, really.
One thing that's always been a concern of mine when we've been appointing members to the council is everyone's very enthusiastic, as you are, about the senior center. But inherent in the position is responsibilities for the identifying needs of the elderly throughout the community and seeing if there's ways to assist them and to improve programs and improve their lives in some manner. So I don't know to what degree you're aware of that or have an interest in that.
Well, I do think that there is a certain unknowing, whether it's because people, again, maybe are just they're just retiring from their jobs, they don't know what's offered, because they don't get the newsletter from the senior center. I mean, they'll see, the senior news in the newspapers, but I don't think they really bother reading it if it doesn't pertain to them. And I think some people just were involved, and then for whatever reasons, whether it's health reasons or they don't drive anymore and don't realize they can get a ride to the senior center, something as simple as that. But I do think that maybe some more, I don't know, outreach perhaps, I don't know what the answer to that really would look like, but I do think it's something that we could probably work on.
Thank you.
Mr. Donnelly?
Oh, well, thank you very much for putting your name in for the position. I don't have any specific questions for you, and I did meet on
Yes.
2 occasions through the comprehensive plan.
Right.
I facilitated 2 meeting in the boxes. Several, actually. You came to 2 of them.
I did.
So you gave double input, which is great. And that showed me that certainly you have a level of engagement in town affairs as well as the senior center. You were very active in your participation, and I really appreciated that. And on a secondary note, we were talking before the meeting, but I'm very happy that you're stepping up to to serve. I knew your father. I served on the Personnel Advisory Board with him many years ago, and he was a great volunteer for the community, a great person to work with. So I just thank you for stepping up, and I don't have any specific questions, Madam Chair, but I'll yield back to you.
Thank you. And I have no questions that weren't already covered by my colleagues. I was pleased with your submission, so we really appreciate you coming in tonight, and we'll continue further discussion and make our decision.
Okay, and as much as I'd like to stay here where it's nice and warm, I'll take my leave, and you should have seen me trying to figure out how to get out of the snowbank. I'm up back in the building.
Yeah, there's a lot
But,
of
be
stuff
careful.
dodged, but
And absolutely.
really
Take
appreciate
care.
it.
Nice to see you.
All right. Time is now ready for the public hearing that was slated for 6:40. And we can read the notice, so yeah, there you are.
Transfer of general on-premises wine and malt beverages license, Rehearsal Services, Inc., DBA The Magic Room. Application has been made to the licensing board of the town of Norwood for transfer of the general on-premises wine and malt beverages license from Rehearsal Services Incorporated, DBA The Magic Room, manager of record William Desmond, to Torrey Clay LLC, DBA The Magic Room, proposed manager Victoria Campisi, under Chapter 138, Section 12 of the Massachusetts General Laws, as amended for the sale of wine and malt beverages to be drunk on the premises of 83 Moore Street, Unit 5A, Norwood, Massachusetts. Description of premises is as follows. Leased space known as Unit 5A in the Norwood Space Center, having an approximate area of 2,570 square feet. The premises consists of 2 rooms and 3 restrooms. Public hearing on this application will be held on Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 6:40 p.m. in the Selectmen's Chambers, Room 34, Norwood Town Hall, or the Robert M. Thornton Conference Room, Room 24, Norwood Town Hall, if necessary.
Thank you. And so my understanding is that,
Both parties have requested a continuance.
and so if we were to do a continuance, to when would we like to continue?
We continue to March 10th, 2026 at 6:50 p.m.
So would that be a motion to continue
Yes.
the hearing to March? And
Yes.
I'll second Mr. Plasko's motion.
All right. Motion made by Mr. Plasko, seconded by Mr. Donnelly. Any further discussion? Also, there's a question in my mind of, do we need to open it for public comment now, or is the continuance?
The continuance is continuing the whole
Continue.
process, yeah.
I suppose you could, in case somebody's here, they don't have to come back.
Right.
You could ask for public comment.
Okay, well, why don't we just do that just in case? If somebody fought through the snow to get here, I don't want to deny them that. So if there's anybody at this time that has any feedback or comments that they would like to enter as part of the public hearing that are present, please let yourself be known and the chair will recognize you to speak. All right, seeing none, then we are back to this motion made by Mr. Donnelly, Mr. Plasko, seconded by Mr. What was that by Mr. Donnelly? I'm sorry.
Either way.
Either way.
It's his motion, I second.
Yes. Motion made by Mr. Plasko, seconded by Mr. Donnelly. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Unanimous, 4-0. All right. Now I believe we are ready for, if they're here early and if it's not a problem,
Looks
our
like
guests for
somebody's out
cultural
there.
council.
Yeah, I believe both applicants are here. Christine, do you want to see if you want to come in?
Good evening. Hello. Right.
Okay, sure.
Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you, and thanks for having us come in, and we very much appreciate it. I'll only be a minute, so I'll stand.
Sure.
Okay, that's good. I think you know me, but just in case for people who don't, my name is Mary Paz. I'm the current chair of the Norwood Cultural Council. I'm about to step down, my term is up, so I'm very pleased that I have 2 wonderful candidates here. I will continue as an ex officio member doing different tasks, but I am very happy to have served the council. So I would like to introduce Megan and Greg, and I'll let them talk themselves.
Question if I may?
Yes.
If you could further explain for me, I wasn't sure we had openings. And is the only opening the one being created by us stepping down?
No, no. Actually, we had only 5 members. We can have up till 9.
Okay.
And what happened is we've had, attrition. And so my stepping down would have been a problem because we need at least 5 people to have a council. We would lose our funding. So this will definitely help us there. And also Jack Calamaria, who's also had been interested in joining us. He just couldn't make it tonight, so we'll have to have him
Thank you.
another time. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And then what we'll do is we'll start off and let you introduce yourself for the benefit of the public record and just a little short recap of your interest.
Sure, thank you so much. My name is Megan Govine, and we became Norwood residents in June of last year, and I've worked in the arts and culture for about the last 15 years and in marketing before that. And so I work at an art museum in Boston, and just really excited to get involved with the arts in the town of Norwood.
Great.
Yes, thank you for taking the time. My name is Greg Johnson. I'm married to Megan. So I second everything that she said. I've been involved in the arts here in Massachusetts, as well as we lived in New York City for a time, and I'm just a proud new member of the Norwood community. I'd be happy to join this council in order to not only involve myself in the community for a positive effect, but also to spread the arts in any positive way, and also assist the committee and the town in any positive way that I possibly can. I work in town for a company called GZA. I'm an executive assistant there.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for meeting us.
Absolutely. Well, at this time, I will see if any board members would like to begin with questions. Maybe start on this end this time, Mr. Donnelly.
Thank you both for applying. I'm just wondering, looking at your experience, Megan, is there any possibility, should you be appointed, we'll be able to access the artwork at the Isabella Stewart Museum? Maybe rotate, maybe have a few paintings in the library? We'll take good care of them.
Yes, after hours, I'm
There you
sure,
go.
right?
My specific question to both of you would be, how did you become aware of the Cultural Council? And are there any particular areas of art that you're particularly interested in advocating for, should you be appointed to the council?
Sure. In my work at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, I work in development and fundraising, so I was definitely aware of the Massachusetts Cultural Council and their funding that they provide to the local cultural councils such as Norwood. So that sort of flagged the idea that there might be a cultural council here in the town, and then we just sought it out on the town's website and sort of confirmed that notion. And then Mary Paz was very responsive as soon as I reached out, and I've joined 2, and I think Greg has joined 1 of the council meetings, and so that's how my awareness began. In terms of areas of the arts, I've always been involved with the visual arts. I've worked in galleries and museums most of my career. So I think the visual arts would be an area that I'd be most interested in.
Yeah, since moving to Norwood, we wanted to become, positive members of the community, and the Cultural Council really spoke to us. So following that, she has 2 meetings under her belt. I have 1. This seemed like a very positive way that we could contribute. Mary Paz has been very welcoming, thank you. And I've been involved in a lot of different areas in the arts, the performing arts, the visual arts. I'm interested in writing, and I spent 20 years as a stand-up comedian, so comedy arts, I guess you could say.
May I just say,
sure.
would you want to talk about a little bit about your current job? Because one thing that really interested me, well, both of them, of course, with the arts, but also with this current job in the sciences, because the Cultural Council does deal with grants for the, arts and humanities, science, etc. So.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, as you may know, GZA is sort of a scientific hub, I feel like, located right here in Norwood is the world headquarters, although there's 26 states that GZA has offices in. So whereas it is a science center, I'm learning more and more about that every day. I also work there as an executive assistant, so I feel like sort of my organizational skills or attention to executive assistant culture may be of value to me as I look to be a positive member of the community here in Town Hall.
Thank you. I won't ask you to tell a joke.
Thank you
but I
so
won't
much.
do that.
Thank you.
I've already hit him with so many bad things.
The only other comment I would have is, again, in the comprehensive plan, Mary, you were so nice to organize, working with me to have a technical work session with the council in relation to the comprehensive plan. It's a great council, great group of people, and it was one of the better sessions I facilitated because all your members, they were so well in tuned and loads of input. So I think
I'll
that.
pass the word.
And I'm hoping that you will continue your.
Yeah, I think, so nobody's been dying to get the, do the grants work, so,
All
we're
right.
in the middle of it, so I said, I'll finish this, I've been writing up directions, so.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Plasko.
Between Mr. Donnelly's question, the finances, and the written documents here, I'm all set.
Very well. Mr. Lane.
Thank you, Manager. Just thank you for your interest and thank you for getting involved so quickly after moving to town. We really appreciate that and your backgrounds and the way you've been speaking of your interests and ideas. I think you'd really add a lot of value, so just very appreciative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the only additional question I had was, as now that you sort of have the lay of the land, are there any challenges that you're anticipating as you do this work?
I think, just we'll have to get up to speed, and I'm sure there's a learning curve on the cycle of sort of when the funding comes in and the grant decisions are made and the funding goes out. So learning curve will be sort of an initial easy challenge to tackle. I think the 10-year plan for the town was really helpful to look at recently, and that was very informative in many different factors. And so getting a sense of what different people might come to the fore to be interested in contributing art-related activities in the town will be interesting to see. And just navigating priorities in that sense. I could see could be a challenge, but hopefully a fun and fruitful challenge that brings forward good projects.
Her experience as a fundraiser is going to help us a lot because one of the things that the council did vote for this year, which we haven't in the past, is to have a specific project just by by NCC. God, I gotta be talking tonight. And that's going to be a mural, because people in the town have asked for that. We did have applications from the rec center to have one at the hospital, and another artist had put in a request, but she couldn't get the building owner to finalize it. So we do have a building, we do have the permission, but that's going to take more money than we have allotted. We can take 20% of the Mass Cultural Council money, which is, we get 16 grants, so 20% of that, plus we had some extra money from interest, and we'll have to do fundraising,
And I just second what my wife said in terms of the challenges and funding and participation. I'd just be interested to see where those go and interested in how we can fundraise and where the funds could come from for the projects that we're currently working on and future projects.
the comedy hour.
Yeah, maybe we could have a comedy fundraiser. I mean, I don't know. I've been contemplating what venue would be good for that, and I'm certain that, it's something that I've, the theater. It's something that I've certainly put together in the past and have a lot of connections to performers and things like that, so I have fundraising ideas of my own that, may or may not.
Great.
Like I said, we need levity on the board.
Excellent. All right. Well, that is all the questions that we have for you tonight. We really appreciate you coming in. So I don't know if we need to keep them here while we do any further deliberation.
No, you can take it up later in the agenda if you'd like.
But we
Thank you
really
so
appreciate you
much.
coming in tonight. and,
Thank you so much for meeting with us. We really appreciate your time.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
thank
nice
you.
to
Nice
meet
to
all
meet
of
you
you.
too.
Thank
And
you.
thanks to the
Stay warm.
DPW for doing all that great plowing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, truly. Thank you.
Glad to hear it.
Look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary
Thank
Beth.
Thank you. All right, so we can swing back around to basically 3.2 and 3.3 here a little later if you like.
Yeah, maybe once
Percolate on what we've heard. So this will bring us down to item 4.2, which is the general obligation municipal purpose loan of 2026 for signature of the board.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we've all had this document to review. The technical motion that we need to approve and sign gets pretty lengthy. I'd like to make a motion that said vote be, as supplied by the town treasurer, be spread across the minutes, the records of this meeting, and that the board, a couple of points that are probably important or of interest to the public. They were voting on the sale of $15,205,000 general obligation municipal purpose loan, the 2026 bonds of the town, dated March 5, 2026, the bonds, to Fifth Third Securities, Inc., at the price of $16,579,131.46. The accrued interest, if any, is hereby approved and confirmed. The bond shall be payable on March 1 of the years and the principal amounts and bear the interest at respective rates as follows. The schedule is for 20 years. There is a slight difference in that the first 10 years, the interest rate is 5%, and the second 10 years, the interest rate is 4%. And the only other thing, if I may, we did get some further information from our Director of Finance, just for people's edification as well, that the 20-year general obligation bonds priced at and all in true interest results at a 3.25% rate. The sale attracted six bidders that generated $1.4 million in net bond premium, reflecting strong market demand. Based on the outcome, the town will realize approximately $4.5 million in debt service savings compared to an initial 30-year estimate. Debt service for the fiscal year 27 budget is estimated in advance, and no changes are necessary. So with that, I'd make a motion that, as I stated, that the formal motion be approved and spread across the records of this meeting.
All right. Motion made by Mr. Plasko.
I'll second Mr. Plasko's motion.
All right. Seconded by Mr. Donnelly. Any further discussion or questions?
I would just say this is really good news and good work by town management and the finance director. This is significant savings in debt, and I think that should not go unrecognized. So thank you very much. That's a really nice job.
We'll pass it along to the staff. It was a lot of work for me to tell Jeff to do it. But he and his team did phenomenal with it. I mean, you're seeing we're getting good interest rates, we're getting good bond premiums. It's keeping our borrowing costs low. I mean, our effective rate of 3.25 is phenomenal.
Yeah, and the only other question he answered to us was that he did anticipate this bond and incorporated into the FY27 debt service, so which is great. So thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Motion made by Mr. Plasko, seconded by Mr. Donnelly. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, 4-0. All right, item 4.3, the public safety staffing study.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to suggest the board, if you're available, meet next week for a special meeting dedicated to this topic in the budget. We had met with FinCom, we had discussed it at a few meetings. Some board members have reached out with some suggested changes. We just today provided you with a draft memo that has some changes that reduce the overall cost, prioritize it over the next, prioritize what we're looking at doing, and then sort of what can we expect over the next 5 years with police and fire. We've provided that to the board. It brings the net impact to the average single-family homeowner down to under $100. So we're looking at maybe $120. We've been able to get that down to about $94 for the average homeowner in Norwood. So I'd recommend next week we have a special meeting dedicated specifically towards it, where hopefully then the board could give us a go or no-go decision, because there's going to need to be a lot of public information working it into town meeting and ballot ordering and everything else that we have to do. And at that meeting, we'd also have the chiefs here, as well as representatives from the public safety unions for any further or final questions the board has. I did get a list of questions from one board member that I have answers to. I will make sure everyone gets that too. They're more technical than philosophical in nature. Sorry, facilities installed new heat regulators. They're apparently either working really well or not. You know, if I think it's warm, we have a problem with how warm the room is.
Move to table 4.3 and 4.4.
All right, motion made by Mr. Plasko to table items 4.3 and 4.4. Do I have a second?
A second.
Seconded by Mr. Lane. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous.
Madam Chair, would you like to schedule a meeting, regular meeting time next Tuesday?
Yes, regular time. Is that any conflict for anyone?
Nope.
As long as there's at least 3 of us.
We will get there.
Excellent. All right, that brings us to item 4.5. I don't know if we would like to fold that with 4.6 or take 4.6 separately. If anybody has a preference.
There's no preference here.
Okay, I think what I might do is start with 4.6, and then that'll sort of lead us into 4.5, generally speaking. So as we recall, back in 2024, we had started a process by which we are resuming the general manager's annual reviews. So all board members at this point have had their opportunity to contribute to that, and the manager has had the opportunity to review it and sign. And so this year, just to give the public a bit of a recap, this year the manager of all the goals that were submitted, majority were met. We did have one goal that was not met and also one goal that was exceeded. And so the board is pleased with the manager's work, particularly in the area of leading and wrangling the Norwood Hospital Task Force. Been very impressed with your work on that, and can't praise you highly enough. You've really done an excellent job at that. With that, unless there are further questions or comments from the board on the review?
I would just, thank you, Madam Chair. You know, we're still new at this process. This is only the second time we've done that, and I would just want to concur with your reading of the summary, but also just thank the members for putting forward the time and effort to provide their commentary and insights into the evaluation of the objectives that we set forth in FY25. So thank you very much, board members.
Yes, we really appreciate that. We had great participation this year. All right. With that, I don't think we need to do a formal filing for that.
Just
right?
accept the
Just
report
accept
and the file.
Yeah, I would motion to accept it.
Yes,
It's
motion
fine.
to accept. All right.
Motion to accept.
All right. Motion made by Mr. Plasko, seconded by Mr. Lane. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, unanimous 4-0. All right, this brings us to item 4.5, which is the 2026 goals and objectives. Who would like to start?
Mr. Donnelly, are you interested in leading the effort?
Well, I'll try. So I think what we had talked about as a process was to forward to you, Mr. Manager, the goals and objectives for FY26 that we individually thought were put forward, and then we would compile them into a summary and make some decisions regarding what to focus on in FY26. Now, one of the things, this is also a new process, so we're well into FY26, so I think that we're still new at it, so I think retrospectively, I think maybe if the board continues this endeavor, we need to kind of work among ourselves to kind of make sure that we're solidifying these a little earlier in the year. I put forward several, but I'm not sure at this point whether other board members have done it as well. Could speak to it, but if you want.
I know at this point I have some feedback submitted from you and Mr. Plasko. I don't believe I had anything yet from other members. The other thing I was interested in is that one of the parts of the process that we kind of didn't pin down how we wanted it to play out is when we're looking at the prior ones that we chose and the priorities we put against them, what mechanism do we want to use to assess those to say, this one, last year it was the most important thing to us ever. Maybe we don't feel the same way anymore. And I don't know if the board has a preference for how they'd like to field those sorts of assessments. A lot of them are still top of the list, and it's a question of, okay, this might still be our priority, but do we think that we got as deep into it as we wanted to?
I think ideally, if we, on objectives that end up in evaluation form, I think if we have a process that we set the objectives, we agree to it, we set them out with Mr. Mizuko, and I think we should probably build into the timeline perhaps a check-in point, because I know that last year the objectives that we were looking at certainly got disrupted from things such as the Norwood Hospital Task Force and other things. So one of the things from a process standpoint that we might want to do, should we have agreement regarding fiscal year goals and objectives, just have a point in time where we're reevaluating those well before the end of the year, just to make sure that they are still in sync, and then we can alter them. We can push them out further. We can say that some are not as valuable to it or doable. And the other point I think we need to do is probably, and I think we tried to do this last year, is just maybe look to a longer horizon and maybe field some 2 to 3 year goals and objectives, and then from that list be able to kind of focus on, here are the ones for this fiscal year, here are the ones that we probably consider in year 2. So there's a little bit of a process I think we should consider. What
do you think would be, I'll just open-ended question to everyone, what do we think would be a fair time point to perform that check-in? Is it 6 months? Is it quarterly?
We can see, the question of timeline is always a little bit challenging, because in theory you would want to say, well, shouldn't our goals align with the fiscal year? That you can do for a personnel evaluation. For my evaluation, you can say, hey, go to 5 more meetings this year. That's a little bit easier. If the goals are to work on more sidewalks or do more sidewalk work in town, well, it's fine to have it in the fiscal year, but when are you setting those goals? Because if you're doing it right before the fiscal year, you're actually through the budget process. You haven't gone through capital yet, but we're through the budget process. So if our goals impact the budget process, how do we set goals when we've already done the budget process? The other side of that is true too. If you do it in October, November, and you try to do it on sort of a calendar year basis, you're in the middle of a fiscal year. So all of a sudden it's, hey, we really think sidewalks are, and I'm picking something up at, random, are really important. Well, all right, it's November. We're past capital. We don't have any, we don't have anything in the budget. We could put something in the operating budget or the next year's capital budget. So I wonder, from a timing perspective, I hate when we say things like, can we create like a living document with a check-in? But if we can move in something like that lets us sort of look at it quarterly without an overly complicated process and say, these are our goals. I'd like from the board prioritization, even if it's individual members' prioritization, then we can say, we've had sidewalk work on there as our number 1 priority for the last 5 quarters, but town meeting said no twice to a sidewalk project. So you know what? We need to reduce that project. It might help with the timeliness, so we're less focused on, can we do this in a fiscal year versus can we focus on this goal? We have some metrics related to it. Maybe it takes a fiscal year, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's done in less, maybe it's, hey, we're looking to do sidewalks and this is the 4th year of a big sidewalk appropriation. And again, I'm the one who always says I hate things like, let's create a living document that we can review all the time. But I just wonder if that gives us the level of nimbleness that we need. Because to Mr. Donnelly's point, we were struggling with the hospital. In many ways, we still are. That came about completely unexpected as of last year. So that diverted a lot of time. So does that let us be flexible by having sort of an ongoing document that maybe is evaluated annually, and things can fall off and come on, but that way it's not so strict of these are the 5 goals and they must be done in this specific point in time. And then if I had that prioritization for board members, that's helpful to me. I've always used the example, if 5 out of 5 board members say, I rank a number 1 having a dog park, the staff and I will know that, like, look, the board has serious interest in a dog park. We will make sure to advance that. We'll go to meetings. If you all rank the dog park as 5 or it fails to rank, and I have a chance to go to a meeting and learn about dog park, we're not going to do that because everyone has said that they're not interested in it. And I also think that's helpful.
Who would say that?
I know, who would ever say something like that? That's perpetually, I think in the charter that's our goal. That also helps me just on that individual ranking of the goals is to know what individual board members are interested in. The whole board makes decisions. The board works as an entity. But if I know that Mr. Donnelly is so interested in a dog park, and there's an opportunity there, and it's not diverting a lot of our time or resources, I might still be able to work with Mr. Donnelly if it's something that the rest of the board isn't interested in, but isn't diverting our resources. It's also good to know. I might know about conferences about dog parks or trainings on dog parks that Mr. Donnelly would be interested in. So it helps me work individually with board members as well to make sure they're getting full value out of their public service if they have a particular interest that the rest of the board doesn't want to, but we can still find a way to work on that as well.
I did in the original document, we hadn't heavily used it, but we did have a column for something called due date. And the idea was that at the point in time when we decided that a thing was going to be a goal, that we had sort of a point in time that we wanted that goal to be addressed by, and that is very flexible because, like you say, some things are something that's going to take years to address, and other things are things that maybe we can get done in a quarter. Do we find that having that, like, would we want some of the due dates to be the initial touch point is the due date? Like how far are we, and then we set the next due date for progress? Because we are trying to strike the right balance between not too much crazy administration for everybody, but
Sure.
also not things kind of going adrift. And
Right, maybe we could, I think, you use dog park for an example, and I get it, but I think perhaps in an effort to be nimble about this and to be concise, I think it was our intent really to focus on a handful of goals and objectives, not come up with a list of 10 to 12, but have a process by which we're identifying a core group of 4 to 6, let's say, no more than that. And they should be really, I think, relatively significant, covering operations, finance, major decision points that are associated with things such as the capital plan or the hospital. I think what we probably could do, what we think we might be able to do is maybe identify, and at this point I'm thinking maybe identify FY26/FY27 goals. Identify 6 of them from that list, work with the general manager to determine which are the ones that we might get some traction on before the end of this fiscal year, and then there are others that we know that we push them out until FY27, and including in that review, perhaps a dedicated meeting where we're looking at those goals, kind of assessing what are the reasonable points of due dates, and then have periodic check-ins where we either can solidify they're on target with those due dates, or if there are, we have to have some flexibility and push them out, or even take them off. We need to have that, that discussion. I know that kind of complicates things a little bit, but I think it will encourage us to be to have the right discipline regarding how to make sure this becomes sort of a living part of our process as a board.
I do think, just kind of looking at what we tried last time, that we were really aggressive in how many goals we picked, and I think that the idea of focusing on 6 big ones is probably better, because trying to track all of the sort of mid-size and small-size ones, it's a lot of things. So I think we'll have more success in terms of our ability to stay on top of checking in, and I think it's going to be better off if we do have that more narrow focus list. The good news is a bunch of the medium-sized ones did get done, so they wouldn't need to be repeated in a subsequent goal list, which is nice.
Right.
So that was good. Mr. Lane, do you have any thoughts or preferences? Like, does quarterly feel crazy, or?
No, I think if we pare it down, like we've talked about, and sort of got a little more focused on priorities, but also Mr. Donnelly was talking about having a 2 or 3 year projection out. I think we can do both of those things at the same time. So, yeah.
Further questions?
I agree with Mr. Donnelly's comments. Generally, the thing that I would emphasize is to get this done and recognize it. He mentioned 26, 27. Recognize it as 27, because as concerned as we've been in trying to get this up and going, for one reason or another we haven't, And to try to start 27 after the fiscal year 27's already started, we should be working on 27 now. And so this should be completed. If you get 6 things, and as you mentioned for your example, 2 of them can be still worked on between now and the end of this fiscal year, which is short time, then you set that aside, but the other 4, if not all 6, remain the goals and objectives for next year. Because if you wait till July, you're gonna be doing the same thing all over again. So,
Yeah, I am a little concerned about that, because I feel like when we set this one, that we had the same thing. We were like, well, this is technically gonna be 25 and 26, so.
It may be time to just sort of cut that
To
cord
just-
and say, this is
Yeah.
FY '27.
Start
If you remember,
27 to get it. Yeah.
we started well into '24. We should have been in for '23 when we planned them. And we said, well, we can do it for '24, and that's like, it was really close. And then we rammed into '25, already well into '25. Same thing with '26. I think at some point it's tough because when we first did it, nobody wants to say, okay, we're in fiscal '24. Let's wait 19 months before our goals take place. But we're at that point where make it '27, and it's at least a little bit more aligned and ready at the start of the year.
All right.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Because I really was interested in this process and continue to be. We have some information that's been on the table with Mr. Mizuko from the board regarding goals and objectives. Would the board be amenable to me and Mr. Mizuko sitting down, taking a look at what we've incorporated or what we've provided in terms of goals and objectives, and perhaps return to the board in a subsequent meeting with this? These are the 5 or 6 that we're looking towards for. To Mr. Plasko's point, for FY '27.
so moved. Good idea.
Would you like, my only question on the motion is, would you like to return for a normally scheduled meeting, or would you like to try for the meeting that we're going to end up needing next week? Like, if you don't feel like it's
Maybe
enough
the fall-
time.
I think we need a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
we're-
regular
we're
scheduled
fine.
on the 10th if possible.
Yeah. So for
The 10th would be more reasonable. Than the
Yeah,
3rd.
that was going to be my recommendation, especially now that we're sort of committing to saying, look, this is 2027. Let's go ahead and give ample time then.
Sounds good.
One final thought, we did a workshop meeting a few weeks ago, which was a single-purpose meeting. If we did a couple of those a year, maybe one a quarter, we could, if we have an issue, choose to dive specifically into that issue and try to schedule it around it. That could also be that time for the goal check-in. And if there's nothing we're having a specific meeting on, because we don't want to just invent agendas to invent agendas, it could be, let's just spend that time talking through and about our goals without the context of other agenda items other than maybe one to say, okay, we're going to talk about, in this case, public safety staffing, take a 10-minute break, and then we're going to go into talk about our goals.
It's like a workshop.
Yeah.
I did like the workshop format. I think it's useful because our standard format is we're sort of rapid firing a lot of stuff. Some of our workshop of activity is a lot more discussion and back and forth and kind of getting in the weeds, and you don't want somebody sitting in the hallway for an appointment while we feel rushed to try to get through our conversations. So I think it's a good format.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we have a motion made for motion made for the 10th for Mr. Donnelly to work with the manager and return to us sort of a final presentation of the 2027 goals this time. And who's my second for that? Was Mr. Plasko?
I'm not sure anyone second, I'll second.
There we go, Mr. Lane. Seconded by Mr. Lane. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, 4-0. All right. And that brings us down to the manager's update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be brief. Just first, as you know, a big thanks to our certainly Public Works Department, as well as Facilities in Norwood Light and Police and Fire for the phenomenal work during the blizzard this last few days. We only had one, we had a couple of small power outages. We call them single outages where there's a home or business here or there. We had one condo complex that had an issue. It was actually on their end, but Norwood Light deployed to do what they could do on their end for probably 10 hours in the worst of the storm. Out there getting folks back up and running. So we fared better than most of our surrounding towns. We were certainly, there's still, last I checked a few hours ago, probably 700,000 or 800,000 people in the state without power. So we did great. The roads look great this morning. DPW and Facilities really knocked it out of the park taking care of roads and buildings. So just kudos to them, and hopefully soon they'll get some rest. We may have a couple of snowflakes tomorrow, and I don't care what the news says about next week. We are not thinking about that for a few more days. We are entitled to a couple days of not thinking about the weather. We look like after tomorrow we're in for a few days of good weather. I did provide the board a draft memo on some updates to the public safety staffing study. I will send out some questions that we had. We are also gathering some info the FinCom wanted on just some comparable salaries and other statistics. We're trying to think if we want to do that as a memo or really update the whole slide deck. We'll let you know, but nothing significant. And then I have draft copies that were a little bit behind on this. This was a letter to likely the legislature on the MWRA bill. If you just want to take a look and let me know any questions anyone has, we can get that sent out in the next week or two, and particularly who we want to send it to. Is it just our delegation, or do we want to send it to that committee and CC our delegation? This is the trust fund they're trying to establish for Central Mass that would just be stealing from our.
That would be raising our rates, basically.
Significantly stealing money from us and giving it to folks over there. And interestingly enough, the details of the bill apparently allow them to use it on whatever they want. So it's not like it's even funding water infrastructure in these hill towns. They could take it and lower their own tax rate with it. So I don't know why. I get it, everyone wants to point to a big entity like the MWRA and say, give us money, but it would be a transfer tax that's epic in proportions, completely inequitable, and realistically just a handful of smaller towns stealing from those of us who have to pay for MWRA water. And to be clear, there seems to be this misnomer that they have in the central part of the state or near the Quabbin, that we get free water from the Quabbin. Last time I checked, we all pay a water bill. It's not free. We pay for the water, we pay to treat the water, we pay for the staff to fix the water system, to install the meters, so there's no free lunch here. So I don't know why we would have to raise our rates something like 10, 12, 14% if something like this went through. It's absurd.
The only suggestion I would have, Tony, is
Yeah, that's right.
maybe we should send a copy to the MWA Advisory Board.
Yeah, I
Executive
think
Director.
I have them listed on the CCs, but we'll make sure everyone gets it. And at some point, maybe we can have their executive director even come in and meet with the board and just talk about where what they're doing on it in their opinion, because we want to make sure it doesn't just sort of slide through, because it's significant impact to the greater Boston area.
Yeah, once we have our final copy edits on it, get a physical hard copy for me, because we might want to take a field trip down and continue to make our presence visible up at the general court. So.
Sure. And I believe that's all, other than the elevator is still out, as everyone knows, it's still on the same timeline. We believe as of this point, though, that insurance will be able to cover the cost, so
Okay.
more to come on that.
How many weeks into the 6 weeks, right?
Yeah, we're probably only 2 weeks into this 6 weeks. It was, we'll get it fixed, we'll get it
Feels
fixed.
longer.
Oops, now we're waiting for parts, so, and the weather's not helping.
The weather does not help. All right, is that everything, Mr. Manager?
And that's it for now.
Question, are we going to act on the appointments or hold that for the next meeting?
Oh, I'm
That
sorry.
is a good point.
I'm glad Mr. Plasko brought that up. The Council on Aging in particular would really like an action tonight if you so choose. They want to make sure they have a quorum next week. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, let's go ahead, because one of the questions I had about item 3.2 was, so far as I'm aware, we had no other interested applicants. That was our only one in the
That's
time
my
that we
personal
made it
agenda.
on.
Correct.
So if the board feels that they have enough information to make a decision tonight on 3.2, I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to appoint Diane Massandrea to the Council on Aging.
Right, motion made by Mr. Donnelly, seconded by Mr. Lane. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous, 4-0.
And I'll make a motion to appoint Greg Johnson and Megan Govan to the Cultural Council.
Motion made by Mr. Lane on item 3.3. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Donnelly. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous, 4-0. All right. Thank you, Mr. Plasko. With that, would we like to start with Selectmen's addenda? Maybe start with Mr. Lane?
Sure, I'm all set.
All right. Makes it easy. Mr. Plasko.
I have one to discuss my disappointment around the process with the appointments we just made. I tried to bring it up at our last meeting, but I don't think very effectively, so I'll try again. We used to have a talent bank, and we kind of would sometimes lose track of whether people knew about it, if they're applying, if they applied, what happened to their applications. And General Manager sold us on an idea I thought was excellent, and have seen it basically being used in other towns by reviewing their websites, where there's a spot on the website where the town lists such vacancies, such opportunities for people to volunteer, and then collects information. Perhaps we should have job descriptions of each position, each committee's work, generally. that would be sent out to those people so that they maybe learn something they didn't know and might change their mind whether they want to be on the committee or not. But I was disappointed that these did not go that way. If you go online on our website, there's a section for community interest and how do I get involved, apply for boards and committees, run for office, volunteer, keeps going down the list. But it doesn't work if we don't post. So somebody, and that was a question I had when we first approved it, who's going to be responsible for making sure it works? And I think part of the breakdown in the system also is we probably, and I'm going to put it in your department, probably haven't communicated well with all the committees and everything, that they should know if they have vacancies to notify us so it can get posted. I know some of these committees, people come and go, and they don't totally think they're independent because they know here to come here and get the appointment. We never know they're vacant because they just kind of disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to somehow tighten that up so there's a better control over whether we have vacancies, how many members we have, or who is the current members and their periods. So I'm just disappointed that when I went online, there's nothing there. The council that I brought up last meeting still wasn't there. And then we acted on it before. I have no problem with the applicants, that's why I voted yes. But the process, I think, was flawed and we need to get it corrected. Thank you.
I would agree with you. One of the things I've noticed is a pattern where it seems like the awareness is very organic. You know, the committee or the group will know that a vacancy is coming or that somebody's thinking of maybe stepping down, and they start to chitter-chattering. And then that chitter-chattering leads to them talking to friends or family who live in town who go, oh, I heard that there might be an open. And so a lot of the position feeling happens sort of among their social peers.
And then other people in town that might be interested don't
Right,
have
they
any
never
idea.
know because
Fair
it
point.
sort of already gets organically kind of floated in that way. So totally agree with that assessment. Mr. Donnelly, would you mind if we take it out of order and have me go before you? Because my item that I have dovetails
Madam
into
Chair, I
Mr.
have no
Plasko's.
agenda anyways, so
Okay, well,
I'll
that
yield
makes
to
it
you.
that's super easy. Great. So
Man.
we have a perfect opportunity to try to revamp this process a little bit because I did receive a letter from Mr. Robert Thornton talking about the fact that his term on the Economic Development Committee, it's going to expire on April 30th of this year. And he is not intending to refill after that, has other obligations, and we thank him so much for his service, really appreciate his work, and have high confidence in everyone else that's a part of economic development. You know, had nothing but kind things to say about the other members, and I can't agree more. I think they do great work. But with that in mind, this would be our first opportunity to try to
Just to
change.
agree 100%. It's not the first opportunity. We've posted a number of opportunities the way we have, taken applications and taken resumes. So it's not the first time. I will do a better job of communicating to boards and committees that we need to make sure they let us know. To your point, somewhat to Mr. Plasko's point, we get hey, the cultural council has always had vacancies. It's, hey, these two people are interested in the cultural council, we have vacancies. We can continue to re-advertise for something like that. The COA, I'll admit, we didn't necessarily go through that process where we posted it online and said, come and join us. That was sort of this person's retiring, this person's interested. It was a little bit more organic. If you'd like us to post, which we should, we can get that on in the next couple of days. We have one open for CPA right now. We had the Associate Planning Board member a month ago maybe. That took a little bit of time, but we finally got 6 or 7 applicants for that.
Great, that's great.
Yeah, I think if, well, to act on this, since you have this on the table, make a motion to accept the resignation with regret.
Motion made
Thank him
by,
for his time put with the community.
a motion made by Mr. Plasko. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Donnelly. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous, 4-0.
We should tell him with that, though, we're gonna take his picture off.
Yeah.
Ow! That's the only thing that's been giving me comfort as we've been displaced from our normal location.
Make decisions with Mr. Thornton.
Yeah, it's comforting. All right, with that, so Mr. Manager,
One further comment, if I might. I might have misunderstood what you said, but it seems to me you said we'll post it after a while if we don't get applicants. posting doesn't cost us anything. I mean, if we're advertising in a newspaper, yes, but if we're just posting it on the website, it should stay there until the vacancy's filled.
And we can do that. On some boards like the Cultural Council, it's sort of, because of the way they're structured, they're almost always having some capacity. It'll just stay up. We'll have to try to refresh it every now and then. Because sometimes what folks will do is they'll look at a web page, and if something doesn't look like it's been updated, it's, are we still looking for this? But we can probably do that for.
Maybe the board needs to take, similar as to the airport commission, everything, the board have to take affirmative action as to, the law allows, as she mentioned, 5 to 9 or 5 to 11, whatever it was she said. But we say we want 7. And then if they want to convince us that we should revote that and open it up for more, but then you know how many vacancies there are. Is it 3, is it 4? There's however many it takes to get to 7. I'm not suggesting the 7, I'm just an example for discussion.
Is that the only board that we'd have that flexibility with in terms of?
It is. There's some other boards where the selectmen can vote on the number. The Cultural Council is, out of any board, has the widest sort of range. And part of it's that their function is almost more as a volunteer group than a board. So they're not like the planning board where a lot comes before them, or the selectmen where a lot comes before them and they make decisions. So that's why they tend to be a little bit, loosey-goosey with, well, we can have this many members, but it's not as strict that they meet regularly twice a month and approve A, B, and C. They're doing a lot of their own volunteer events. But at some point, I think where it is 9, maybe we do say it's 7. If we're never able to get to that top number, we can look into what the statute says about having alternates. So if they do happen to have 7 and they have 2 more people who want to join, theirs is less about the voting on certain matters than it is about managing activities and volunteering to make the activities happen, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. And do we need a separate motion for getting this one
No,
posted?
we'll get it done.
All right, excellent. All right, then with that, I believe that is everything that we had for the evening. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, motion made by Mr. Plasko, seconded by Mr. Lane. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.